From an undisclosed location in the Lone Star State, this is the number one boxing podcast in the world, hosted by a 1992 U.S. Olympian and a moderately successful ring announcer. This is Raul Marquez, it's Punchy with Lupe Contreras. We finally have settled on the schedule. Come hell or high water, we are guaranteeing you that every Monday, 4 p.m. Central Time, you will have a podcast covering the world of boxing and, you know, mixing in a little bit of humor there. And as a matter of fact, when we speak of high water, we definitely went through some high water to get you guys the podcast on the air today. It's basically been a combination of ER meets Animal Hospital. Both my dog Maxie and my broadcast partner have had some medical situations. And speaking of, let me bring on the most important part of the telecast. As I mentioned, former 1992 U.S. Olympian, former IBF Super Welterweight World Champion, and former Showtime broadcaster, current patient, Raul El Diamante Marquez. How are you, sir? How is that extra hole that is in your body this week doing?
Actually, it's doing great, man. And I thought it was so funny because I called you earlier to tell you, hey, listen, I don't know if I'm going to be at time because I had a last minute call. My doctor that's been seeing my procedure that I got done in the back. By the way, I had a sebaceous cyst that they had to remove. So he was working in the morning. I was supposed to see him earlier today. So he called me. He's like, hey, I'm going to be here from 8 to 12. If you want to come in right now. And I said, yeah, I'm on my way. So I called you. And then where were you at, Lupina, when I called you?
I was sitting in the parking lot with my dog. My dog Maxie had something similar to what you had going on. He had lipomas, massive lipomas growing on his chest. One of them was probably about the size of an orange. So we had to get those removed. He's had some complications. He was bleeding this morning because he had like a little tube. The tube is designed to get like some of the excess liquid out. I think you had something similar, right? Like an opening in the back to kind of get rid of some of the inflammation, some of the stuff that was going on. And also he had one removed right over his right eye. And my concern was the eye became really swollen and he was having a hard time seeing. He was bumping into things. You could tell he was uncomfortable. Right now, he's actually being a little soldier. He's right here at my feet. He's being really cool, but he's gone through a lot. I know you're not a dog person and you really don't care, but
I really don't. I really don't, but I'm glad I don't have the eye problem like your dog. It's only in my back, because this weekend it was baseball life again, bro. I'm loving this baseball deal with Leah. We had a big tournament, EMC. We won 4 games, lost 1, lost in the finals. I want to thank all the family members that showed up. My in-laws showed up. My mom and dad showed up. My sister, my brother-in-law showed up. And of course, me and Jeanette and Alina were there all through the tournament. And if anybody knows how hot and humid it gets here in Houston, Texas, man, let me tell you, to stay there for like all weekend long and be at the games I'm talking about from 9 o'clock in the morning to 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, Lupina, you know how hot it gets in Houston. So it was one of those days, but again, baseball, man, I'm loving. I never loved baseball so much until Liam now started playing baseball, and he's pretty good. I mean, he hits the ball good. He does good plays, and we're in a good team. It's exciting. Next week we're in Dayton. We start the official 7U All-Star tournament, so we're excited about that, man.
Now he is your next great hope, right? You still have Gio. You're hoping that at some point he gets to like a world title, but now you keep texting me every now and then. The guaranteed contract for Liam keeps going up. You're like, oh, $200 million contract.
Oh, that's where the money. Hey, that's really where the money's at, bro. The American sport, the American way, U.S. baseball. That's where it's at, But I mean, I joke around about that. It doesn't matter to me. It's just fun, and then Alina, she's a good little soccer player too. So she's gonna be playing here pretty soon. So we're excited about that too. That was our weekend, Lupina. And I know I gotta ask, how was your weekend? Did you do anything interesting or besides your dog life, bro? Which I really don't.
Aside from taking care of my dog, yeah. Unlike your kids may have a potential payoff at the end. This dog basically he's just cutting into my budget. He's cutting into
$1,000.
Yeah, I was hoping to expand my watch collection this year, but apparently that's not going to happen because this dog is taking up most of that. But enough of our mundane lives. We did have some boxing action this weekend, so we want to go ahead and start covering that. And we get to the part of this podcast that we like to call the main event. And we were both watching this fight somewhat together. It was, obviously the big fight that we saw this weekend was one that we covered last week, was Caleb Plant against Armando Reséndiz. And of course, on the co-feature was Jamal Charlo, or Big Charlo, as we like to call him, against our good friend Thomas LaManna.
Right.
It was something we were texting back and forth. Obviously, we'll get to the Charlo fight in a little bit, but the fight that was really getting us excited was it was a good weekend for the Mexicans for the most part. We'll get that to this in our co-feature. But it was a nice performance by Reséndiz against Charlo.
Yeah, it was. And, like I told you from the beginning, I know that you're not going to give me the credit because, you're the type of guy that never wants to give me that big star, give me that credit, right? But when you asked me about a week ago when we did the podcast, you asked me about that fight. And I said, well, look, Lupe, on paper, it looks like a mismatch. But look, Reséndiz he's going to give him a good fight. He's young. He's hungry. El Toro. I mean, he's the bull. And that's exactly what he did. I almost wanted to lean towards, when you asked me, I said it's going to be an upset. But I held back a little bit. I said the right words.
Well, that was my issue. The reason people tune into this podcast is they want a hot take. Yeah, I mean, you were at the point. I'll give you credit.
If you let me talk, if you let me talk, Lupe, let
me justify my position.
Okay.
Let me justify my position. You were at the point where you almost went out there and off camera we talked about it.
Yes.
You said, "Hey, I'm feeling an upset in this particular fight."
Yes.
When it came time to go on the podcast, your little huevitos got small and you didn't get brave. You chickened out a little bit.
No, but you know that I got big huevitos, big fucking huevos, So
off camera,
big huevos. Yeah, but listen, I was being more like, you know what? Caleb has the experience. He's been in there with a lot of better opposition. He was there with Canelo, Benavidez. He should be able to outbox him and win and play it safe and just get the decision. But I knew that Reséndiz was going to bring it, and he's strong, he's powerful. And I didn't want to say Reséndiz. Why? Because I'm Mexican, right? Anybody can because I'm Mexican. And then I'm going to hear all the shit about it, like, oh, he's going for the Mexican. But no, it's not that. I just fucking know boxing, bro. I know boxing, and I knew Reséndiz was going to get in his grill. He was going to have a good body attack. He was a good power puncher. He was strong. That guy's strong. But you know what the most important thing was? When we talking about it, Lupina, his conditioning, bro. That guy wasn't even breathing.
So as we were conversing on text, that was my main thing. Was I thought his conditioning was fantastic, and not to be a dick or anything, but I was like, God, judging by what happened earlier this week, please let the test come back negative. I don't want anything clouding this particular victory. But yeah, that's what we talked about. The conditioning was just absolutely fantastic. What were your thoughts on that?
Oh yeah, man. I mean, first of all, Lupina, let la raza, come on, bro, we're raza. Let him enjoy his win. Let's try not to be not negative, but I know what it's been happening a lot. Not just with Mexican fighters. It happens with everybody, all kinds of fighters, all right? So I think Reséndiz did a hell of a job, man. He was hungry. He was young. He's strong. As the fight went on, he got better. And Plant knew it. Plant was holding on to him, trying to, run the clock, trying to sneak in some combinations and run the clock. But Reséndiz found a way to create some space, man. And I felt if he would have created even more space to land his power shots, I thought he would have stopped him. I had him very comfortably ahead. I had him 8-4. A lot of people are talking about the fight being close. I don't think the fight was close.
Yeah, after the fight, Caleb Plant was interviewed, and he said that he thought the fight could have gone either way. I never criticize a fighter for feeling that way, because obviously you're in the middle of the battle. You're in the middle of trying to make adjustments, trying to figure out a way to keep this guy off you who just keeps charging at you. So I have no criticism for him, but I definitely was surprised by the split decision factor of it. I thought it was a clear win for Reséndiz, and especially the way he turned it on late. What were your thoughts on the decision?
Like I said, I thought he won unanimously. I mean, it did cross my mind. I mean, watch him try to take the fight away from Reséndiz, but at the end of the day, I'm glad the judges made the right decision, and Reséndiz got the win.
On the co-feature that same night, speaking of decision wins, we had a Jamal. I always get confused with those two. Jamal
Right.
Charlo.
Yeah.
He absolutely dominated Thomas LaManna in a fight where you know I really like Thomas, but he looked really outmatched in this particular fight. You had a much stronger, a really powerful jab that Charlo was just popping in LaManna's face, and he just couldn't get around that. He went down
Yeah.
numerous times in the fight. Ultimately, the fight was stopped. What did you see, if anything, that you can gauge from a year and a half off for Jamal Charlo, and what were your takeaways from that fight?
Well, I think it was a perfect fight for him. Like you said, I mean, he was a year and a half off, so he needed that kind of fight. More. It was more like a sparring match. And I think LaManna, showed a lot of heart. He was in there with a bigger, stronger guy, a lot more experienced. There's levels, like we always say to this game, and I think Charlo did what he had to do. LaManna made it entertaining, and I think when they stopped the fight, LaManna obviously wanted to continue, man, but it was a complete beatdown, man. He was really. If you looked at his face, I mean, he was banged up. And I'm glad that they stopped it because, LaManna's a smart guy. He's a promoter. And, he obviously has a career after boxing. So he did a good showing by putting up big huevos, and lasting that long with Charlo. But, Charlo was just too big and strong. And it was a good win for Charlo, being that he was off for a while. Now, let's see what's up next for him.
I won't use the word glad. I was relieved when they stopped the fight because I thought it was at a point where there really wasn't any path to victory for LaManna. He's not a big power punching guy. He showed a lot of heart. He was taking a lot of shots from Charlo, and as you mentioned, he's a guy. He has his own promotion. I'm hoping he made a really nice payday from this fight. He got out. He's got a great family.
Yeah,
he has options. I know in his heart he wants to be a world champion, and perhaps maybe that might be out of his reach, but he's fought at a high level. He has seen what he can do against that level of opponent, and hopefully he finds a way to find some satisfaction with himself. And as you mentioned, he's got plenty of things going for him, and hopefully he can take that from this particular fight. Now, what did get cold water thrown upon it was the whole Plant versus Charlo situation. People are still saying that there's still an appetite for that. I'm not quite sure. What do you think?
I don't think so, man. But knowing, PBC, they'll probably still make it happen. I don't want to see that fight. I mean, Plant lost. I think Reséndiz maybe against Charlo. I would love to see that fight here in Houston, man. Here in Houston, I think Charlo's from Houston. Reséndiz, there's a lot of Mexican fans that'll probably cross the border and come from Mexico to Houston. I think it will be a huge fight. I think Reséndiz and Charlo, I would love to see that fight. And then you got Berlanga in there. Like, how about Plant against Berlanga? Berlanga talks a lot of shit.
Yeah, Berlanga was chiming in. He had a few choice words online for his performance. I think that would be a good matchup there. I either like Plant against Berlanga. I do have an interest in seeing Reséndiz face Berlanga. You got the whole Mexican, Puerto Rican descent type rivalry going there, and obviously I hadn't thought about it, but in Houston, Charlo would definitely draw a crowd, and the Mexicans are going to turn out for Reséndiz.
Absolutely.
Speaking of Mexicans, as we said, it was a mixed bag this week, but mostly positive. As we mentioned last week, Eduardo Núñez, El Sugar, he went over to Japan, took on Masanori Rikishi for the vacant title, and he came away the winner. He was a guy who had come into this contest 27-1 with 27 KOs. It was a little bit more complicated bout than he had hoped for. You had Rikishi, a tall, lanky fighter, who was absolutely cut up, man. The guy came in tremendous shape.
Right.
But he found a way to kind of keep him at range for a while. But ultimately, the work rate and the pressure that Núñez showed was just too much for the Japanese fighter.
Hey, and listen, Lupin, I mean, when you go to Japan and you win a fight unanimously, that means you really won. Except that one judge that had it 115, 114. He had a little bit closer, but I think Sugar Núñez, he won pretty convincingly. I think it was a great fight for him. Now, he's a champion. There's a lot of other fights in there for him. I mean, you got Ray Ford, you got Anthony Kakashi, you got Navarrete in that weight class, you got Shockley Foster. So, there's a lot of competitive fights against other champions that can happen in the very near future.
As you mentioned, he went all the way to Japan, and there was a nice little moment that they caught on camera. Was he was calling back home to thank his family. I have a little bit of video here. It's in Spanish, so I'll try and translate along for our people who are only listening, or perhaps our no sabo audience joining us here this afternoon. This is Eduardo Núñez phoning home from Japan.
Los amo mucho. Los amo mucho.
We're very proud of you. Thank you so much. Thank you, Mom. We made it come through. We made it happen. We're going to take this one back home to you. That's a nice moment from Japan, man. That's one of those things you rarely get to see.
Yeah.
A little behind the scenes view. Obviously after the crowd leaves, the audience is gone, all the hoopla's over with. You're really just still left with your family back home and the people who really care about you.
Yeah, I mean, being so far away, I mean, I my last fight when I fought against Arthur Abraham, of course, I lost by, the stoppage or whatever, fought for the middleweight title. But, being so far away from home and, just hearing from your family, being able to communicate with them and have that, and then winning the title over there in Japan, or, winning, that's a huge accomplishment, Lupina.
Another segment of the population that had a big weekend were our brothers from Uzbekistan. On Friday night, Bek the Bully beat our own Houston's own Darius Fulgham for the title. Actually, it was a title eliminator, putting him in a position to be the challenger. What did you see in that fight? It seemed to me early on, it was Fulgham had really, really nice moments, and then someone in the middle rounds, he just could not get away from that left hand of Bek the Bully.
Yeah, not only the left hand, I mean, but first of all, it was a barn burner. I think it was a very close, unanimous decision for the Bully, Bek the Bully. He did pull it out, especially he had a very strong round. In the last round, Lupina, he hit him with the left hand to the body and the left hand over the top that dropped Darius. And that, obviously probably put him up ahead. But it was more also the awkwardness of Bek the Bully. And when he threw his combinations, he would move. So he wouldn't be there for Darius to land his combinations. And that was giving Darius a lot of problems. He was never able to really plant his feet to throw his combinations. And he landed at times, but the majority of the time, it was the footwork of Bek the Bully that got to him, because he was able to counterpunch and land while he was moving. And that's what got him over the top.
His fellow countryman, MJ Akhmadaliev, he set up this undisputed clash with Naoya Inoue as he knocked out Luis Castillo in Guadalajara. Now, it was a fight where, as you mentioned, levels. Akhmadaliev was clearly levels above his opposition.
Oh,
yeah. And as we mentioned, this was kind of just kind of a formality. People wanted to see what Akhmadaliev had, and obviously, I believe it's planned for sometime in September. He's going to go over to Japan and challenge Inoue. Was there anything you saw in this fight, or anything that his opposition could provide that gave you an insight as to how he may perform in Japan?
Well, actually, it was just like you said, a stay busy fight for him. It was target practice for MJ. The accuracy of his shots, and he's a good fighter. He's a really good fighter, and I believe, and not only me, but I hear a lot of people talk that he might be the toughest opponent that Inoue is going to have in his whole career when he fights him in September. The only thing is, MJ hurt his left hand. He injured his left hand in that fight, so I hope that his left hand is ready for September for the Monster Inoue, because he's going to need it.
We move on to the co-feature, and this is the portion of the program where, unfortunately, we're going to have to, talk about a few bad things that went on this particular weekend. As I mentioned before, Jaime Munguía tested positive for banned substances, what they refer to as elevated levels of what is the word I'm looking here for? Let me make sure I get it right. The exact result was exogenous origin of testosterone, which basically, I looked it up. Exogenous means it came from outside of the body, so it was not produced by Jaime Munguia's body. So therefore, it means you can either ingest it, or you're injected, or it's coming from somewhere else.
We need some of that. Hey, we need some of that, Lupina. Come on,
we need some of that, man, because
we need it.
We're over 50. We're losing muscle. You know, I've got
make the phone. Hey, make the phone call. Who's doing this?
I've got the skinny arms. So obviously, Munguia's team has said this is some sort of error, and he did go online and he started to basically issue a statement as to what had occurred. And again, this is in Spanish, so I'm going to translate it for you. And this is Jaime Munguía reacting to the positive test after his fight against Bruno Surace in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia.
¿Qué tal, amigos? Los saludos, amigo Jaime Munguía. Y bueno, aquí para...
Hello, my friends.
Yo creo que
Jaime Munguía
estoy
speaking.
sorprendido, así como todos ustedes, por lo que...
I'm here. I'm very surprised, like all of you are.
Prueba de antidopaje. La verdad que yo me siento muy tranquilo, muy seguro de mi preparación, de mi suplementación, de todo lo que hice. Entonces, nada más decirles a todos que soy un atleta limpio, que la verdad que no temo de nada porque sé que he hecho las cosas bien. Entonces, aquí estoy dispuesto a hacerme todas las pruebas que sean necesarias para demostrar que estamos limpios, que soy un atleta limpio, como ya se los dije. Y pues bueno, a darle para adelante y aquí estamos para lo que sea. Saludos a mi Jaime Munguía y saludos para todos los que nos siguen apoyando. Ahí Jaime Munguía para rato.
Greetings from Jaime Munguía and greetings to everybody who supports Jaime Munguía. What are your thoughts on the comments you just saw there?
Well, first of all, bro, come on, man. It doesn't surprise me that, he tested positive. I mean, there's a lot of guys out there that are doing it. I don't want to mention any names, but even in my times, how many guys were doing it that didn't get caught, or they did get caught? I'm not going to mention the names because guess what? When I fought them, maybe that same year, a year later, they did test positive, because it was a higher level of a fight and they got tested. So, I mean, look, Jaime, I think I'm just going to say as a fighter, Lupina, when somebody's telling you to take something because this is going to get you over the edge, it's going to help you in training camp, you're going to take a better shot, it's going to help your conditioning, whatever the reason is. I mean, my first reaction would be like, is this going to test positive? Is it okay? And they might say, yeah, don't worry about it. We'll figure it out. Or, we know how to take care of that. That would be my first question. So, I mean, Jaime should know, what he's taking as a fighter. Don't you think so, Lupita? I mean, like, you know what goes in you. You can't just base it on somebody's telling you, look, yeah, this is going to help you and get you over the edge. Okay, that's great. You do want to get, an advantage, but is it going to hurt my career? Is it going to, when they test me, is it going to come out positive? I mean, that's my number one, that's how I would react, if they asked me about that.
Let me give you my take on it. My take on it is, I think if one thing a lot of fighters are guilty of is they're showing too much trust in the people that they're surrounding themselves with, especially when you get to a level, of a Jaime Munguía, the elite athletes. You know how it is. People come out of the woodwork. They want to be part of the team. You had people with you that, either want to be part of the hand wrapping. They want to be part of the conditioning.
Everything.
They're going to come out of the woodwork. They're going to come out of the woodwork and they're going to, let you know, hey, I can do this for you. I can do that for you. And my main point is, I think oftentimes they show too much trust in the people that they're working with, especially people who, you know how boxing is. People are managers who have, no legal experience. They've got no credentials to show that they're managers other than them saying that they're managers. You have a guy show up at your gym one day. The guy is, built like Adonis, and he tells you he's a physical conditioning coach. You believe him because he looks the way that he looks. How much of it do you think is just the fact, obviously Munguía has changed teams quite often. He's gone, I believe he trained with Freddie Roach for a little bit. Then he went with Eric Morales. Now he's with the Canelo camp. How much of it is just these guys not vetting the people that they're working with?
Look, I mean, you got to be a smart fighter. You got to be a smart businessman. Just because somebody's telling you to take something, like I said, I'm going for myself. I'm going like Giovanni. Somebody came up to us, look, this is going to help Giovanni. This is going to do this for him. But my first question would be, is it going to affect the drug test? Is it going to turn out positive? That would be my first question. I would not let Giovanni take something, that we know that it's going to come out positive on a drug test. Why would you do that? So, with Munguía, there's somebody obviously in the team that is convincing him, probably It could be a manager. It could be a trainer. It could be a relative that's probably convincing him, "No, man, take it. It's going to be okay." You know, they know how to deal with that. They know how to mask it. You know, whatever it is, Lupina, at the end of the day, he should have made sure that wasn't going to come out positive, bro. Come on. Common sense, dude. I mean, I'm right.
No, I'm going to push back a little bit because I've dealt with
how stupid can you be?
I don't think it's a question of being stupid. It's a question of being too trusting, and I know even like you, Diamante.
Too trusted. Yeah, you know what? That makes sense. Too trusted.
If someone can do something for you, you allow them to do it. You allow them to do it. If I've been with fighters whom I'm like, "Hey man, what time does your plane leave tomorrow?" They're like, "Oh, I don't know." You know, what airline are you flying? Oh, I don't know.
I don't know.
Oh, what airport are you flying out of? Oh, I don't know. I have no idea.
Right.
They've gotten into this habit, especially pro athletes, of allowing other people to do things for them. And when it comes to this type of stuff, they take advice from people whom they shouldn't be taking advice from. Just because the guy tells you he's this, he's that, and you believe him, and then he's handing you, you know, supplements or other things that they're telling you they are for your own good. Right. I am not naive in thinking that somebody may inject that themselves in purpose, but I'm also not dumb enough to see what I see these pro athletes allow people to just kind of take control of what's going on. So in that case, I do give him a little bit of the benefit of the doubt. But speaking of his opponent, Bruno Surace, he says that he wants this to be declared a no contest. Do you agree with that?
I do. Why not? I mean, he was taking something illegal. He tested positive. And I think Surace needs to go after a third fight. You got to make the money. You got to get paid. It's business. I think he's right. And hopefully he gets a third fight with Munguía.
And speaking of, for some reason, you know, Munguía obviously has received some criticism, but the person who seems to be most under fire is Eddie Reynoso, his trainer. And, you know, there's been a series of fighters who have popped while either they were working with or soon after. The one thing that did bother me about the way that this story was handled is, you know, some people are reporting 4, which were the guys who actually popped when they were under his tutelage. Other people, to make it more salacious, more interesting, they're saying 6. And the other 2 guys who did pop were not training with Eddie Reynoso at the time that this happened. So I do have a little bit of a problem with that. And also the fact that, you know how it is. You handle your son's training. You supervise what's going on. You supervise one portion of it. You don't supervise everything.
I mean, look, he's his own man, Lupina. Like, you know, he makes his own decisions too. So outside of camp, I mean, he knows what's going inside his body. If he's doing anything like that, I'm not with him 24/7. So I don't think people should point out Eddie Reynoso. By the way, you put Eddie Reynosa. You were thinking about Reynosa, Tamaulipas.
Oh, I was. It is. Yeah, it is. That hometown. Shout out to Reynosa.
Reynosa, Tamaulipas. Hermoso too. Hermoso, Tamaulipas. Anyways, I don't think they should point the fingers to Eddie. You know, us as fighters, I mean, this is a grown man. They make their own decisions. Eddie's not with them 24/7. Obviously, there's somebody in camp or in the team that is making them take this when they test positive. They're, again, like you say, you know, a lot of them trust their people around them. You can't be like that, man. And especially, hey, don't trust them with money. Do not trust them with feria, bro. You know how I am about that.
Yeah, but training camp, back to the training. The training does get compartmentalized. You focus on one thing. I know Gio goes off to somebody else to do his conditioning.
Strength and conditioning.
Perhaps somebody else is advising. You don't handle his diet. You don't cook for him. You don't give him the things that are going in his body.
I don't. I mean, who's to say that wherever he goes, does his strength and conditioning, which I know the guy, nice guy. He's a strength conditioning guy. He knows about it.
Yeah, but let me point this out to you.
What if he convinces Gio to take something that I probably wouldn't agree, but Gio takes it? I'm like, oh, well, Daddy told me it was good and it was going to be fine.
Not even convincing him. But let me tell you what's going on here. Everything involved in this sport is a business. You know, if you are a
Are you telling me that? Are you teaching me, or I mean?
Yeah, I'm dropping some knowledge on you.
Okay.
And the
no, but I feel like I know that already. But go ahead.
Okay, well, as you know, everything in this sport is a business. If you are a personal trainer, a conditioner, you want to keep that gig. especially if you're a new one. You want this fighter to see after the fight, oh man, I felt fantastic during that fight. Last time I fought, I got tired in the 7th round, but this was the 9th and 10th round, and I was still feeling good. As a trainer, like, so I'm just basing this on
but
my own.
You're still jeopardizing your job, knowing that they're gonna test them. And
you are, but
positive.
They're gambling. Just like a fighter might gamble, saying, okay, I know what I'm taking and I know I may get caught. I think a trainer is going to do the same thing, because he wants to show the fighter the results. He wants to show the fighter, hey, look, when you worked with that other dude, you got tired in round 7. But now that you're with me, things are feeling a little bit better. So like I said, I go back to the fact that the fighters are maybe putting too much confidence in the people that they're working with.
Show it by hard work, dedication, man. Go that extra mile, that extra round. Diet right, there are supplements, vitamins that help you. Just do it the right way. That's it. That's all. I'm old school, bro. So if you're gonna ask me that, I'm gonna give you an old school answer. That's the way I believe.
Now, I haven't seen any comments from Eddie Reynoso as far as this is concerned, but one guy that did comment, it was Canelo. He was at an event promoting some of his other businesses that he has, and this is in Spanish as well. But this were his comments on the whole situation.
Solamente él sabe lo que pasó. No, al final de cuentas sabe lo que pasó. Obviamente la gente le tira.
Only Jaime knows what happened. Obviously, people are going to throw stuff at Eddie. Eddie didn't take his supplement. He doesn't take his thing that he has to eat. Much less, so people can understand that. Eddie just focused on training. A while back ago, I told Eddie, hey, when you get a fighter, you got to get him from the beginning. You have to give him everything. You got to give him supplement and training for this thing to happen to you. What they do is they throw stuff at Canelo. That's the news part.
Entonces, a lo que voy es que lo que sí tengan bien claro es que nosotros creemos en Munguía, que seguramente lo va a aclarar pronto.
We believe in Munguía, and we know
quiero que tengan bien claro es que Eddie Reynoso no le da sus suplementos. Eddie Reynoso no se dedica a entrenar.
Eddie Reynoso just trains him.
Yeah,
and he makes a very valid point there.
He's right. I mean, that's what I've been saying all along. I mean, it's the fighter. You as a fighter, you're a grown adult. You know what's right and what's wrong. And Eddie can't be with you 24/7. He's not with him when he goes to go run. He's not with him when he goes to eat. When he does a strength and conditioning. So we don't know what relatives or the trainers or whoever else is in the circle. We don't know what they're giving him. Obviously, he knows what he took. He knows, like Canelo says, he knows what's right and what's wrong. So you can't be blaming Eddie Reynoso. I said it from the beginning. They can't be pointing fingers at him. He's right.
I think the only thing that Eddie Reynoso and other trainers are to blame is, like I said, maybe not vetting completely the people that you're allowing to focus on your fighter. And I think Canelo made a very good point there. He's like, if you're going to be the trainer, I still don't know the name of the guy who is the conditioning coach for Jaime Munguía or even for Canelo's team. All I know is Eddie Reynoso, and I know Canelo. And as Canelo mentioned, when things happen, all the crap, all the stuff is going to stick to that particular team. So I think if they are guilty of anything, is not just Reynoso's team, but boxing camps in general, is just trusting too much and not vetting the people that are part of their camp. One note I didn't mention to you, and it was something that caught my attention. There is a fighter out of the UK who has a fantastic name, by the way. His name is Delicious Ori.
Never heard of him.
He was part of the 2024 Olympic team for the UK in Paris. He had one fight. He won it by decision. It wasn't a great performance, but he decided to retire after just one professional fight. And you being a former Olympian, I wanted to get your thoughts on that.
That's crazy. I mean, why? I mean, you're an Olympian, Lupina. That's what everybody's goal is as an amateur fighter. Whatever country you're fighting in, is to make the Olympic team. So you make the Olympic team, and then you turn pro, you retire after one pro fight. That doesn't make sense. Unless he's trying to make some noise and create some drama. And
I don't believe so.
People want him back, and he's trying to get money to, come back.
I don't believe so. I saw a statement that he released, and he said basically that even before he made his professional debut, he wasn't feeling the love and dedication that he felt for the sport. And I believe he has some opportunities in the corporate world that are available to him. So I applaud the guy. I mean, if it's right now when you figured out that maybe this isn't working for you, this isn't this isn't your calling.
Yeah.
I have no problem with him saying, you know what?
You're right. You're right.
That's enough for me. I know if
it's not easy, man.
No, boxing is not an easy sport.
No.
As you know, I'm not trying to educate you. Boxing is not an easy sport.
Typically, now boxing, you're talking. I like that.
Boxing is a sport where if you have options, you find the easier option, because boxing is definitely not the one. So I thought that was a note there. And now we move on to the part where I spent most of my career, the undercard of boxing. And what we like to talk about typically in on the undercard is we kind of get away from what is the world of boxing. We tend to talk about that ad nauseum, and we just kind of bring up some things that kind of draw my attention, or maybe some pop culture topics that I think would be interesting to discuss with you. And one thing I found interesting this week was there's been like this little video that's kind of, I've noticed popping up all over social media, and it's all being posted by women. And I'm
always laughing because I'm like, wait, what are you gonna come up with, bro? You scared me. I don't trust you, man.
This video kind of drew my attention because of the context that the video is in, and also how women were reacting to it. So I know you're raising a little girl, so what I'm gonna call this segment is Daddy Issues. Oh, wow. Because we know you got your little Alina who you're raising. So this video, and I want to play it for you. It's off a podcast, and it's a young woman, a very attractive young woman, and she's basically stating how she feels she should be treated, and what she feels at her place in life, and how she tends to deal with guys. And it's a short video, but I want you to hear it, and I want you to get your reaction to it.
Your standards are too high. Shit, no problem, because the guy behind you said light work.
Damn, boy, this girl has way too much game for me.
No, because
I'm gonna call you a Risley Bear.
No, because I tell my girls, same thing as the whole, if he wanted to, he would. I always say, you're not asking for too much. You're asking the wrong guy.
You see, it's a very confident woman, and my thoughts and the reason
that's the actual girl. Like, she thinks she's a 10+, right? That's her.
I think so. I mean, attractive girl. Okay. Is she a California 10? That's beauty is in the eye of the beholder. But the reason that I wanted to bring it up was I keep seeing that on people's profiles, and they're all women of a certain age, all women about the same age as her. And what troubled me about it was the fact that, I think the worst thing you can do is sometimes take life advice from one of your own peers, especially when they're sort of going through life at the same point that you are, and they're making the same dumb, stupid mistakes that you are as well. What are your thoughts on that?
I agree. I mean, look, how old is she, Lupina? How old are we talking about? In her 20s or something like that?
I don't know how old she is. If you had me to guess, she's probably between 23 and 25. I would imagine so.
Yeah, sometimes what happens, I mean, at that age, I mean, they're real picky, and they want a guy that's a 10 all across, bro. Like they want him to do this. He's got to make some good money. He's got to look really nice. He's got to be built. I mean, they want 10++. And at that point, sometimes you might miss out on that. So, and then she gets older, and you're still not finding the right guy because you're so damn picky about finding the right guy. And then all of a sudden you're 40. Hey, look at the pictures. We talked about this before of girls that we knew back in the days that were in their 19, 18, high school days, in their 20s. Look at them now as 40-something years old, 50-something years old. I mean, we all change. We don't look the same. So I think it's a big mistake, that they make by being so damn picky. Don't you agree with me? I mean, like, I don't know what they want.
I think I don't have as much criticism about her as the things that led up to her feeling that way. I'll give you one thing. I think, and I love women. I am not criticizing women. I'm just telling you from my own life experience.
You really love women? You sure?
Yeah, of course.
Okay, all right. Just want to make sure.
You're starting the rumor that's been out there for a while, but that's just a rumor. But anyway,
what rumor? What are you talking, bro? I just want to make sure.
We'll say that for another. Me gustan las mujeres.
Las mujeres. My bad. You're right. Yeah, mujeres. Okay, yeah. Right.
One thing, especially when you're an attractive woman like her, I think what occurs, and I don't blame her, I blame men for this. I think men sometimes give attractive women a distorted view of themselves, especially when you're very attractive. What happens with a lot of guys is the guys laugh a little harder at your jokes. The guy's like, oh, you're so this, you're so that. And what the woman doesn't realize is that guy's motivation may be something else. He's trying to get in good with you. He's trying to like you call it, hype you up. So this woman
are you saying the guy has a low self-esteem, kind of, sort of, but he's trying to hype up the girl? Is he a little
no?
Intimidated?
I'm saying the guys. No, I'm saying the guy's just trying to get in her pants, man. He's laughing at all the jokes. He's doing all these things.
Got it.
And she thinks that what she brings to the table is a lot more than she really has to offer, And great, she's cute, but cute sometimes, or cute isn't going to cut it. You got to bring something more to the table than just being cute.
Yeah, have you ever seen those? I mean, we talk about this all the time. You've seen those girls that, I mean, they're hot, they look great. From in the past, right? In my lifetime, in the past, same thing. Well, you, it happened. I mean, you're single, right? But then all of a sudden, they say a couple of words, and you're like, oh my God, this ain't, I got to go somewhere else. You turn the other way because they don't have it up here, bro. Or they just a different type of woman, if you know what I mean.
Well, I think the issue as well too.
Same thing with guys. It happens with guys.
No, guys, this goes. Yeah. This is people in general. You have to have a true sense of your value, right. Even in work. I think sometimes people tend to overvalue themselves in the relationship. I mean, we've seen it in our profession, where you've got guys who think they're untouchable. They think, right. Oh man, I'm so established. I'm in good with this company. I'm in good with this particular network, and they think that the value is in them, when the value is really in the 3 little letters NBC or the 4 little letters ESPN, and it doesn't really hit
or Showtime
or Showtime. The value of who they really are doesn't hit them until after that part of their life is done. And I think that's what happens with. I think one thing that very attractive women or very attractive people in general have in common, they have something in common with pro athletes and with child stars. And you know what that is? It's the fact that your time at the top is a very narrow window. You've seen it with young actors, Macaulay Culkin, Gary Coleman, Shirley Temple, going way back into a particular time. Yeah. Once you hit a certain age, and once you become not so cute anymore, you realize what your true value is. And I think sometimes people get that as well.
Yeah, or you're not that popular guy, or look, a lot of those, we always talk about this, a lot of those stars, a lot of those athletes make millions of dollars, and when they retire, they just don't know how to manage money. They spend all their money. Things change, man. Things change, and a lot of them get divorced from the wife or the whatever. They split up because they're not living the same. Obviously, they're not giving the same lifestyle to the wife. A lot of everything changes. Everything
you're deviating from the topic a little bit, but what I'm trying to say basically is the fact that what troubled me about this was the fact that that so many young women seem to be seeing this, posting, and being like, yes, girl, yeah,
like they asked for too
preach.
Much.
Well, they're using her as an example, and I don't think that's the person you should be taking advice from. Go ask your tia, who's like 40 years old, who's been like through 2 divorces. Go ask your uncle, who's been married 3 times already,
and still at the bar. Been through 3 divorces, still at the bar looking.
Yeah, they will tell you that. Yeah, chances are, if you're cute, your aunt was just as cute at some point because you guys have the same, the same bloodline. But take advice from those particular people. Another issue that I had too was, and I had a friend like this as well, who's been married 3 times, by the way. She thought of herself as some sort of prize.
Wow.
I remember she had really high expectations for guys, and she dated a very particular type of guy. First of all, they did have to have money. They all had money.
But Lupita, right away when you see, like you already told me, she thought herself as a prize.
She thought of herself as a prize, which is the same way that this girl's portraying herself.
Yeah, but right away, like me as a man, come on, bro, right away, I'm out. I'm out. I don't need that. You know what I mean?
And I think what she didn't realize is she wasn't so much of a prize. She, had turned herself into a bit of a chore, because obviously if she's been married 3 times, 2 guys were like, you know what, somebody else can have her. A few years back, I heard one guy say, he said, man, I don't care how fine that woman is. Somewhere there's a guy who said, I am just tired of her shit, and he's just not willing to deal with her anymore.
I guarantee you, I'm almost. I mean, I've seen it in the past with friends or relationships, just people that they're like, man, let him deal with it. I don't let the whole world deal with her. I don't need to be a part of her. So you're right about that. You're absolutely right.
So my point basically is, ladies, if you find yourself in this situation, don't go to, the hot 24-year-old who they're letting her skip line at the club, who guys are giving her free things or this and that. Go to your tia. Go to the 45-year-old one who knows. She knows.
Oh,
she knows how things are going to happen. You know how you used to say, Bo knows, la tia knows.
Yeah, and the tia has a lot of regrets too. She's going to talk about the regret. I should have stayed with this guy because this and that. It wasn't that bad, but I ended up going with this guy, and this guy did whatever. You know what I mean? Like, she's going to have regrets.
Coulda, shoulda, woulda. Like I said, this girl's going to have a lot of regrets in her life, because, like I said, don't think of yourself as a prize.
God bless
Bring
her.
more than just being cute to the relationship. And guys, stop telling women certain things that what your ultimate goal is. You're giving a distorted view of what their actual level of interest is. Because just because you're
the guy. But us as men, Lupina, that's what we're built. I mean, we think that way, dude. That's what we're gonna do to try to get in the woman's pants or whatever. Come on, I mean, you're a guy. I mean, the woman should be smart enough. It's up to her. The girl calls the shots. The girl calls the shots.
She does call the shots, and this girl's calling the wrong shots as far as I'm concerned at this point. But anyway, that wraps up our podcast. You can send any hate mail to Raul, because he is the star of the show. I'm just the producer, man. I don't even choose the subject matter. But anyway, that wraps up. But remember, every Monday, 4 p.m., come hell or high water. We went through some high water this morning to get this one on. We had several technical difficulties that we got through. And from what they tell me, Raul, it's all about the algorithm. But right now, the algorithm is kicking our asses, man. It's a 10-7 round in favor of the algorithm. I even told you.
Sad, bro.
70% of the people who listen to the show are not yet subscribed. So if you could please,
so the 70%,
look into the camera and let them know.
If y'all want to see what me and Lupina doing, or other even haters out there. I mean, there's 70% of people looking at us, Lupina. Please like and subscribe, bro. Even if you're a hater, even if you don't really like us, but if you like, come on, just don't look at us. Please like and subscribe before we cancel. I mean, we're not giving up. How long have we been doing this?
No, we're in it for the long haul. I told you, I'm in this for the long haul. So pinky swear, you're in it for it. Pinky swear. We're in deep with Raul Marquez. Is Punchy with Lupe Contreras. That does conclude the podcast. Like and subscribe. You can get us on YouTube, on Spotify, and Apple Podcasts. That concludes episode number 6. We're 6 in deep, Diamantin, and things are still not looking great. But anyway, we're in it for the long haul.
What about the line? The line, how do you go out?
Oh, that's right. We're
go.
wrapping up this podcast because Raul Marquez has a hot young wife to attend to.
Yeah.
Kids that are trying to, get themselves a guaranteed $200 million contract. And I've got a dog who I'm pretty sure he's leaking blood all over my rug right now. So I got to go.
Gotta make you go broke.
He's going to make me go broke. He's cutting into my watch collection money. But we're out. This has been Raul Marquez's Punchy with Lupe Contreras.